Hey guys, it's Major Nippy Betts from the Scholarship Leadership Institute with the book series, How to Graduate College Debt Free. Today we're going to be looking at follow-up, a key to your scholarship success. It's so critical that you guys learn to master the art of follow-ups. Your parents probably need help with that as well. And so I want them to listen to this also, because one of the things that you've got to do is not just take an act. I apply for this scholarship and send it and let that be it. I asked for a letter of recommendation, and you do it and let that be it. And you hope that they send the letter of recommendation in. There are things that you need to be able to do with follow up to, no kidding, ensure that the act that you intended to take place happens. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm glad you asked. There are just things like I've had people that, no kidding, took and sent applications in, and I've already set it up, some of my clients, where I've got people waiting on the other end so that they can win $100,000 scholarship. And all they have to do is send that package in. They go to the post office, they take the package, they stick it in an envelope, and they sent it. And that was it. Less than a month later, the people called me asking, "Hey, I thought you said you had this kid who was going to send this thing, and blah, 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 blah." And I say, "I do. I did." And so I got on the phone and called the kid, and they said, "Yeah, I mailed it in, but it came back to me for insufficient funds." And because it came back to them, they felt they missed the deadline, so they didn't send it back in. This kid had a chance to earn $100,000 scholarship and never submitted it back, didn't call me to say, "Hey, Major Betts, this happened." Therefore, I couldn't let the people know, "Hey, it's going to be delayed." Do you see what I'm talking about here? So it's important that you learn to do several things when we start talking about follow-up being a key to your scholarship success. One is phone calls. You've got to get on that phone. I have people, when I worked for the military as a civilian, I had people who worked for me who made six figures. They were incredible employees, but they hated to use the phone. They wanted to send everything in an email. Well, emails are effective when it comes to tracking what has happened, what was said, what was the history of this action that we're trying to research. It's important. I could write a book just on that. But for this section of follow-up being a key to your scholarship success, phone calls are critical so that they can hear your voice, so that you can hear their voice, so you can establish rapport. And so when I say that, I want you to, no kidding, them, when they hear your voice, they know it's you. Or when they hear your parents' voice, they know it's them. Or when they hear you for the first time, you introduce yourself and remind them, "Hi, I'm Paula. I met you at the college fair in San Antonio, in Dallas, in Boston." And you make sure that they understand who you are and you establish that rapport. There's something about that that's very powerful. You also want to make sure that, like, I have clients when we're negotiating for scholarships, and I have a book on that too that we're doing. And when we're negotiating for scholarships, you literally have to pick up that phone, call them, and tell them, "Hey, I really want to come to your school, blah, 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 but I can't because we have all this money at this other school waiting for us." That's a negotiation technique that you can't really do as well in an email. If initially you can follow up with an email, but you want to have that conversation so they're saying, "Oh, wow, you've got this kid, he's got this money over here, he really wants to come to our school. What can I do? What's in my power to do?" And if you're on that phone, whether it's you, the kid, or you, the parent, you make that phone call and you use that negotiation tactic. It works more times than not. And so that's effective, that's important. And so use the phone to make sure you establish that rapport. Now, since we talked about emails, let's look back at that. The emails are important too. But I'm going to say this before we even get started. Always have it checked. Even if you're the parent, have the other parent checked. Have someone look at your language, look at how you're saying it. Misinterpretation is so huge in the email space. And sometimes you just make a mistake and leave out words. I do that all the time. And so write those emails to follow up and say, hi, I'm Henry's mother, and I'm just following up on the conversation we had at the school during the college day, or I'm following up with the counselor, or I'm following up with whoever you're following up with. Follow up using that email so that you can always go back to them and show them, hey, we discussed this on this day. So it's kind of like an evidence trail. But use those emails. What was her name? I think it was Miss Northern. When my son, we went to a college fair, and I'll just start with the end first. He ended up getting 6 figures for the scholarship. But the college fair, when we met this lady, she was so nice, and we exchanged pleasantries. And there's a whole there's an art to college fairs. Again, we have a book that we're writing on that as well. But when you're there and you're going through that, you want to make sure you exchange information, and then you thank them and follow up. Well, we did all that, and we followed up, and we established this relationship. And so as we work with that school, as we work with the specific scholarships that we were trying to get that were affiliated, not in the school, but connected where we can use it at the school, there were a lot of moving pieces. And we wanted to make sure that we followed up, different than the young lady I told you about earlier with the $100,000 scholarship. My son and my wife and I, we made sure that we stayed in contact, that we followed up, that we had emails to just check, hey, just wanted to check on the status of the scholarship. Did it make it to you? Because those people who work at the school, they can literally grab that, go and find the actual package where it sits to give you a status update. And if you made a great impression on them, they'll do that. And so that's why phone calls are important, emails are critical, but in person is important too. That's that whole thing about seeing them at the fair, seeing them at the different events, being there in person with those individuals who can influence the process, who can make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, so that your package doesn't get lost in the shuffle, so that you don't forget to do something you were supposed to do, because they'll think, oh, I forgot. Did I tell her to do this? Did I? And so they will literally email you or call you. And so those follow-ups are important in person as well, but you can do it initially and during the follow-up. For us, the counselor at my son's school, Miss Etheridge, and we would go see her. We talked to her, we call her. She knew that we wanted scholarships for our son. You know, that lady sent us scholarships even after he graduated. We were on an email list where we were getting scholarships for him that some of them he could still apply for in college. So all those things are important. The phone call, the emails, doing things in person where you're establishing even more rapport so that they see you, and make sure if you're there in person, if you're, especially if you're the kid, you're always neat, you're always respectable, you speaking well. Make sure that you give them a reason to always want to do more for you. The next thing I wanted to chat with you about today is rules of seven. The rule of seven, the rule of seven says that sometimes you got to contact people and they may not get back to you. They may be busy, and you have to contact them again, and you have to reach out to them again and again and again. And they say usually it'll take 7 efforts in order to connect. Sometimes it's right away, but often you just have to keep doing it. A lot of people will reach out with an email. Somebody didn't write them back, and they're discouraged. They give up and they don't try, and they leave the money on the table. That not you. You won't do that because you read this book, because you watched the video, and you know that I've told you sometimes they're just busy. They didn't have time to answer you right then. They started an email back to you, it's in draft, and they forgot to go do it. I do that all the time. The people who have the most success are the ones who understand the rule of seven, where you have to follow up, where you have to, and you don't have to do it the same way. It could be 2 emails, 1 phone call message, dropping by and leaving your business card, or just leaving a note with the secretary or staffer. This stuff can help parents too. So this follow-up is important. Make sure your kids are doing that. And so that's key to your success, whether it's emails, whether it's in person, whether it's phone calls. I also want you to promote and leverage your success to that point and then beyond. What I mean by that is, if you're having success after you meet them, well, before you meet them, you let them know about the success that you've had, which hopefully will entice them to want to do more to help you get scholarships. But if you have more success after you've initially met them, so say you met them initially and you've been published in a newspaper and the magazines and you've done this and you've done that, and then 2 months pass and now you've done a TED talk, or you've been featured on a news TV show, or you've done this for the White House, or you whatever it is that you've done, you want to keep them up on your success. You want to let them know, hey, I just wanted to let you know, along with all the stuff you've seen on me, we've recently done A, B, and C, just to kind of, and it gives you a reason to contact them. It puts you back on their radar, and so when you do that, it allows you, no kidding, to get your face back in front of them, get your voice back in their ear, get something written. So you don't want to be a pest, but you just want to make sure they know that you're still there. Okay. Now, timing is key to everything. I'm learning that now in business. At the time of this recording, I'm going to speak to Dell Technologies for the second time. It's an American Idol type contest for business owners, and I'm literally going up to speak to some of their executives in a competition that I already won part of it here in Texas, for New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas. It's a part of an organization I'm with. And so we go and we all pitch. It's almost like Shark Tank. And so now the winners are the three people who did the best. And I was rated number one at that one, now get to go speak at Dell. Well, I'm excited about that because they have 145,000 employees, and I would love, love, love to help their company's employees get scholarships. But I had to do all the things I needed to do to, no kidding, make that happen. Timing is key. Last year it wasn't the right time. I could have gave up, but I'm going back again, and I may get it, and I may not. But the thing I know is, at that time, it wasn't my time. I wasn't ready. Something wasn't right with my pitch. They weren't ready for me. But I'm going to build on all of that and hit it again. And you need to do the same thing. You need to be persistent. But don't be a pest, but yet be a pest. I know that sounds crazy, but I want you to understand what I mean by that. I don't want you to be somebody calling them every day, all day, sending them an email every day, all day. You will get blocked like nobody's business. I don't want that to be the way you do it, but I want you to be a pest in a way that you reach out to them, but you use the different things I told you with the phone call, the emails, the in-person. You can use different variations of that, come up with reasons to follow up or reasons to be reaching out to them. If you, like, for me, when I have a process where, you do the email, you do the phone call, you can show up in person, you can then take, and I have ink pens for my business, and I'll send them a free ink pen just as a reminder. It's not being a pest, but just, hey, I just wanted to send this to you. I forgot to give it to you when we met. And I just, I know that we're going to be meeting and talking more about whatever it is soon. So I wanted to make sure I gave you this. That's how I do it with my business. You can do it from the aspect of some new information, or a question that you might have. But as you're sharing that new information, asking that question, you roll right back into the thing that you're calling about. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here for me. Thanks for answering. I look forward to hearing back from you regarding whatever you just asked them, as well as anything else I need to do to help position myself better for the scholarship. You need to be thinking about that all the time. We teach a lot of this stuff and go through that on some of our live Q&A calls, so that people can not be a pest, but yet still be a pest just enough. I don't know which book it's in, but I cover a thing about writing to the school president about some of the employees that you've encountered, so that they can get recognized by that president. And there's a whole art to that. I won't get into it here, but you'll hear about it in another book later. I just want to make sure you understand that you want to go in with that, I guess, almost in your mind, a superwoman, a Superman pose with your hands on your hips, like they can't say no to me. They don't have the skills to make me stop. They don't have the skills to make me quit. You need to be persistent, because one of the things I know is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You've heard that probably from your parents. The squeaky wheel needs grease and oil to stop squeaking. And so people will literally placate you to the point where they will want to help you get the answer you seek, because it makes them look inefficient or not effective if you're continuing to reach out to them to get an answer to something that they have the ability to give you the answer to. So they naturally want to help you, as long as you're not a pest, as long as you're not overly aggressive, as long as their experience, this is a good experience for them as they try to woo you to come to their college. So you want to make sure they get a complete picture. So no kidding, from that first phone call, from that email, from in person, from the rule of seven, where you've contacted them in different ways, various ways, finding excuses to reach out to them so that you can keep and stay on the forefront of their mind. You want to promote and leverage any successes you've had since you've talked to them, so they know it keeps you again on their brain, and they see that this kid is doing a lot of great stuff. Parents, you can be the person sending it as well. But remember, timing is key. A lot of times when they ignore you or they don't respond like you want to, it's not because of you. It's because they've got life happening to them, their family, their job, their church, their nonprofits, their team, sport teams they play on, whatever. They're focused on other things too. So be patient with them. Give them an opportunity to excel. So again, don't be a pest, but yet be a pest. And remember, they don't have the skills to tell you no. They don't have that ability, because you are going to keep pressing forward until you just can't press forward anymore. I hope this makes sense. Follow up is a key to your scholarship success. So this is Major Bets from the Scholarship Leadership Institute. I'll see you next time. Take care and God bless.